Latitude notebooks, Dell displays and peripherals, Precision workstations, and Wisethyn client brands. Vivek has been with Dell since 2013 and has over 17 years of experience in brand marketing, P&L management, go-to-market strategy, business planning and sales growth program, design across high-tech, IT hardware, telecom and enterprise, IT services sectors. Vivek began his career at Infosys and then worked in business impacting roles at HP Enterprise, Ernst & Young, and Deloitte Consulting. A quick announcement before I hand it over to Vivek. May I request all participants to make a note that this webinar would be a one-way communication from CII. However, the participants are free to key in their questions in the question chat window at any time during the presentation. All questions will be responded during the Q&A session that will follow the presentation. If any question remains unanswered due to time constraints, the same would be clarified by email. May I on behalf of participants, extend a formal welcome to Mr. Vivek Manjeri and invite him to take over the session. Over to you, Vivek. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you so much, Subhash, and the entire CII team for the opportunity. Getting into this discussion, I was actually planning over the last few days on what are some of the conversations that will be impactful given the audience, which are largely MSMEs and mid-market and some large customers that are part of the CII Tech Saksham initiative. So before we get into the content itself, right? I wanted to keep this more conversational. So and hence, if you see, the slides are more anchors for perspective sharing. And I really hope that towards the end of the discussion, we can have a Q&A session where a lot of the real, I think, industry relevant questions will get addressed. And the other aspect, which is more around my scope at Dell, I lead product marketing for the Client Solutions Group. But today's discussion is actually much beyond the client solutions or the edge portfolio around IT. We will talk more futuristic in terms of what are some of the technology trends, and to that extent, I am assuming that the questions you all might have at the end of the session would be cutting beyond my current responsibilities. So we will try to take most of the questions. If there are questions which, for example, require a more detailed one-on-one conversation, I can be the kind of, liaison through whom we can get those questions answered by the relevant experts at Dell. So having said that and said that kind of, scope for today's discussion, let me just get into the agenda. So the way we'll do this is, the first 40 minutes and 40 to 45 minutes, I'll cover the content. And the last 10 to 15 minutes, we can reserve it for questions, if that is okay with the team. So I'm just going into the first slide for today's conversation, which is what do we want to cover today, right? So 3 parts to the conversation today. First is, I wanted to level set on where the industry is today, specific to India and some of the emerging markets, and what is the business context around which a lot of companies, like including Dell, are operating in, right, around the COVID-19 environment. So once we understand what that means, I wanted to spend the second part of the conversation to discuss a point of view which is created by Dell Technologies through a lot of industry research on what would the future look like, right? That is what we're calling the digital future. And the third part of the conversation, which is logically following that, is therefore companies that need to drive business in the new digital environment or the future need to know how to go about it and what are some of the challenges they might face, right? So in summary, it is more about where are we today, what does the future look like, and what should companies do to be better prepared, right? So it's a fairly simple conversation. And at the fag end of it, I will briefly touch upon, how as a company, Dell, and specifically the Client Solutions Group, has aligned its product portfolio to kind of help our end customers navigate the digital journey, right? So that is what we will cover today. Uh, I'm going to move on to the next slide, which is, I think I wanted to spend a few minutes on just the business context around the COVID-19 environment today, right? So as you can see, most companies today, including small and medium business as well as large enterprises, are thinking about how to continue their operations, which is what we're saying is how do you prioritize business continuity, and looking inward, how do you look at employee health and safety, right? These are the key priorities that most organizations today are looking at. Specifically in the mid-market space in India, what we have observed is, basic things like keeping the lights on, which is how do you keep your cash flows to sustain the business, is very critical. But if you go a step deeper and then look at how is COVID going to impact, the research clearly states that there are some industry verticals which will have a short-term impact, like travel, hospitality, which all of us are seeing. And there are some more longer-term impacts that are anticipated, right? And we are probably starting to see some of that, specifically in the auto vertical as well as in BFSI also. And a lot of this has to do with the fact that organizations over the last few months, especially the longer term impacts, have come from newer operating models where their own workforce as well as partner ecosystems, all of them have switched to a more remote way of working. And we at Dell have observed that there has been no significant impact to productivity of workforce. And because of that, companies are starting to think around what are some of the more longer term operating models that will be optimal, that can help them, compete better in the market, and more importantly, stay profitable. The second part, which most industries have seen, especially companies which are in the business of managing inventories of goods, is we have seen one demand surge or a drop in demand. So it has become more unpredictable, and a lot of disruptions on supply chain, a lot to do with the fact that your sourcing is highly dependent on greater China today, right? So these are some of the short term and long term impacts that we have seen and what some of the companies are facing today. Now, therefore, moving to the second part of the context discussion itself, this means that given the way we work and our customers and consumers are today operating in, we definitely foresee a significant shift from regular offline to online, which is what we're saying the shift to digital will accelerate. We at Dell have already seen it, and you can clearly see it in the market as well, that more than 1.4x transactions, especially on the sales side, have shifted online. And industry research indicates that more than 50% of that shift is going to stay permanent, right? So you have to now literally look at that and say, therefore, what do I do as a company, right? A question to answer. The second piece is within your go to market or routes to market itself, the mix of e-commerce, especially in B2B SMB enterprises, has started increasing. This is but natural, and why that has happened doesn't have to be explained, but you would all be seeing it. Now, what does all of this mean from a technology standpoint, right? The key is decisions need to be made swiftly and smartly. A lot of that from a technology standpoint, we can see as one of the leading technology service providers in the market. Number one, a lot of companies have started looking at how do I augment my existing IT infrastructure through, cloud-based applications. Classic cases, people who are in, ed tech industries, etc., would have seen that they've started understanding a huge demand surge coming in. People are actually evaluating is that short term, long term, and the short term decision is quickly move some of those workloads to cloud, or maybe augment capacity through online, cloud-based applications on a more, OpEx-based consumption model, right? And I'm also mentioning that as one of the key outcomes of this, the adoption of flexible IT consumption models will go up. The other aspect, which is what we are seeing today, is also a lot of interactions, be it with your customers or partners, have moved to a virtual medium, and therefore the adoption of the right conferencing tools is very important, which includes the choice of software, hardware, as well as some of the hardware peripherals to make sure that your interactions are productive and fruitful, because time is the same, right? You have 8 hours or 45 hours in a week. If you have too many technology disruptions in a virtual uh, way of interaction, then you would rather avoid it. So those decisions need to be made quickly. And as a result of all of that, remote and work from home solutions adoption has increased significantly. You would have seen that come out in the annual reports of most of the technology uh, and high tech companies, including Apple, Dell Technologies, HP, and all of it. So, what this slide is trying to tell you is, the bigger picture is that yes, India as a country was growing at a very fast clip. We were anticipating anywhere between 3 to 5% GDP growth conservatively for the last few years. This year has been almost like a speed bump, right? We are almost saying we'll stay flat, or some estimates say that we might even be degrowing. But the way we look at it from a Dell Technologies perspective is that this is but a minor speed bump. Think of it almost like you are in an F1 race and you are about to hit a corner. It is but natural for us to slow down and then ensure that as we come across the corner, we are in a position to accelerate. So the message I want to leave you all with today is, while the COVID environment has created challenges, it is a very short to medium term impact. As most organizations, the future is digital, and there are a lot of opportunities just waiting for all of us to grow our own businesses. Therefore, we need to think more long term for a more digital based future post COVID, right? So that is what is kind of the context in which we operate, right? So I just wanted to move on to the next slide, which is actually getting into the point of view on the future, right? So as a company, right, our vision has been very clear. We want to drive, technology and innovation in this industry to drive human progress, right? That's what even our co-founder Michael Dell very proudly states, and that's been our vision for the last 5 odd years. But it is very important to understand at this moment that the world over the last 20 years has gone through a lot of change. If I were to look back 20 odd years, right, when I came into this industry, the role of technology, you will all understand, has significantly changed, right? Simple things, for example, technology was always, like in the early 2000s, considered a support function to business, which means most of the decisions at the application layer were around what is the best in class product for my industry vertical. Do I choose between SAP or an Oracle? Do I choose between PeopleSoft or an Oracle HCM, human capital management solution, so on and so forth? It was always the mandate of the CIO to keep the cost of IT optimized, right? The second part to this is that IT was more considered at an application layer a system of record, which means a lot of data was captured. That data was played back to either the business, sales, or marketing or finance, to basically get a sense of what is the state of the business today, more in terms of is the business healthy, is it profitable, etc. The third part to this is IT architectures, therefore, were more legacy, which means more mainframe, client server based architectures. And the last but very important part is internet was just kind of nascent at that point in time. Most organizations looked at the internet as a way to kind of make themselves present in the larger market, tell the world that we offer various products and services. It was almost like a directory listing service. Now, cut to chase today, you can see that the role of IT has transformed, right? What I mean by that is IT has become core to a lot of businesses. There are businesses today that are almost digital first. There are various use cases we've seen, and in fact, businesses that are unicorns today, which literally were born in the internet. Take the world of transportation, companies like Uber, homegrown, unicorns like, Flipkart, Byju's, etc. So it is digital first today, which means the CIO and technology have a seat in business decisions, which means how you design IT can make or break your success in the market. IT has now become a point of engagement, or through IT systems and services, you are actually engaging with your customers, which means on a real time basis, you get feedback on your products and services. And using that data, you can make very rich or clear decisions on how to go about your business itself. And that's a fundamental shift that has happened. Now, as a result of all of this, the IT budgets haven't really, gone up, right? So the architectures around which IT is built today, or the IT architectures have changed. We live today in an on-prem cloud and a hybrid cloud world, largely to do with the economics and the flexibility that this brings in. These are flexible consumption models aligned very well with the way businesses grow today. The second and the more important aspect is it is not a question of what is internet today. Internet has branched out into literally having its fingers everywhere. What I mean by that is you have sensors and devices which are literally on the network today. We call it Internet of Things. So internet has changed from being just an internet to Internet of Things, which means you have more deeper engagement with the external environment in which you are operating. So the underlying theme of all this is that the role of technology has become very core and central to how businesses are run. So at this moment, I'm sure that a lot of you have a question that, okay, this is probably most of us are seeing this, but what makes us believe that all of this is going to continue, and what is that digital future that is making technology more important, right? So I think now I want to actually shift and kind of move to this kind of the second part of the conversation, which is what is this digital future all about, right? And if you see on this slide, what we are seeing is we as a company are saying every organization has to look at itself as a digital organization in the future, and taking advantage of a lot of the innovation that is going to come on the technology side. So what are those important things or technology trends which we think will create opportunities for businesses, right? So now we are moving away from the first part of the conversation to the second piece of the agenda, which is what is our point of view on the future. Just move on to the next slide here. Okay, so what you see on this slide is an outcome of a lot of research which our product groups did with an organization called IFTF, which is the International Futures Technology Forum, which is a consortium of a lot of industry experts who think about the future to outline what are some of the emerging technologies which will shape the future in a significant way. And to be very, candid on this in this forum, some of these technologies we've been hearing about it for the last decade or so. But the reason why we are saying that these are going to shape the future is because all these technologies from an adoption perspective have reached almost that tipping point, right? The point after which there will be an exponential growth in adoption because the ecosystem is ready today, be it network bandwidth, the compute capacity that is available, the cost of technology, all of this is at the right point in time for some of these technologies to really make a difference. Now, let's spend a few minutes walking through each of these and trying to understand them, right? As you can see, I'll go in order, right? The first piece is, Internet of Things. I briefly touched upon that as one of the key elements that have changed. But specifically, what do we mean by this, right? From an IT perspective, the future is all about machines, which could be sensors, which could be various kinds of devices. Even, for example, you have today voice-enabled devices sitting within our homes, which will all sit at the edge of your own networks and will be in a position to deliver your products and services to end customers, and at the same time collect real-time feedback. So IoT is going to attain a level of maturity across most industries where you will see organizations trying to implement and it is your opportunity to also think, do I see a use case for IoT in my business? The second part is, the second key technology I want to talk about is mobile edge computing. This is actually an offshoot of what does it require for IoT to sustain itself and be more effective, right? What we're saying is, when you see all these devices kind of literally spread across the network, depending on your industry, to make that happen, we believe that the processing, which today is lying within your data center, needs to be distributed. So we are foreseeing a future where the compute capacity is going to spread and has to remain more at the edge. And it is again logical to think of such an architecture, because in order for you to be able to interact with your customers on your products and services, deliver products and services, the data back and forth has to travel quickly, which means the compute has to get distributed, right? So mobile edge computing is nothing but processing edge data closer to the IoT device itself, and this we believe is going to become mainstream. The third one is what needs to happen across the network itself. This is 5G. We all know that, for example, in India, the 5G tests are currently underway across all of the telcos, and we anticipate that sometime in calendar year 2021, we should start seeing the first rollout of 5G networks. But what does 5G bring to the table, right? Especially from a technology perspective, and for technology-enabled businesses, greater speeds of data transfer at very low latency, which means you can now transfer very rich data back and forth between, from the core to the edge, between the edge and the device, etc. Right? So essentially, 5G will become the backbone of a lot of use cases in machine to machine, in smart cities, autonomous transportation, etc. So 5G definitely going to become mainstream. Now, moving to the bottom half of this slide, artificial intelligence. I think don't have to spend too much time here. AI and machine learning will become part and parcel of a lot of applications and even IT infrastructure that you will see coming in the future. We are talking about artificial intelligence being able to self-heal systems, which means you buy an equipment tomorrow, the equipment will have inbuilt intelligence to tell the user or the company or the OEM from where you bought it that, hey, you know what, I'm going to have a heart attack, or I'm going to fail in the next 90 days. You need to probably send an engineer or fix a part. And all of that will be managed without the end user even having to move a finger, right? So that's just one of the examples of what artificial intelligence can do. Essentially, it's going to augment human capacity. The last part is, extended reality, again, part of augmented and virtual reality themes. We believe a lot of human collaboration in design intensive industries will be driven by AR and VR, and this will become mainstream. So in sum and substance, what I'm trying to tell you is, a lot of the digital future will be made possible because these 5 technologies we spoke about, AI, edge computing, 5G, artificial intelligence, and extended reality and augmented reality, will all reach a point of inflection where they will start driving exponential growth. So having said this kind of context, I wanted to give you some more insights into, therefore, how will all of this impact the larger economy that which we operate in, our own work, or the work that your employees and your workforce does within your organizations, as well as some of the impact we will see in our own lives. Moving on, I'll just spend the next 5 minutes roughly to talk about what are some of the use cases that you will see play out, right? And this is also coming off the deep research that Dell Technologies did with the International Forum of Future Design. I spoke about the IFTF study. Now, there are 3 things on this slide, right? So we believe some of these will start playing out in the next 5 to 10 years time frame. One is autonomous commerce. What I mean by autonomous commerce is, think of machines becoming consumers, i.e., your machines will almost evolve into consumers. It could be smart robots, it could be devices using a mix of sensors and softwares, already with AI built into them, where they will almost be, serving your end consumers. Simple examples of this, which we are seeing, which can get extended, is today you have ability to make place orders through voice enabled devices in your house. That itself can now become a play for various industries where autonomous commerce will become mainstream, right? These are all points of view. Some of them may play out, may not, but these are things where we are betting very significantly as a company, because it's on the back of a lot of research we've done. The second piece is anticipatory production. Simple use case here is, think of manufacturing capacity becoming almost democratized, which means if you or I have an idea for bringing a new product to the market, you don't actually need to invest in huge capital expenditure to gain access to manufacturing. If the design is something you can come up with, being able to manufacture on demand through various technologies, simple use case being through 3D printing, for example, you should be in a position to bring products and services faster to the market. The third one is leapfrog economies. I think this is something which is very important to understand, right? For all of this to happen at a very, uh, foundational level, we believe a lot of emerging markets today, where the bottom of the pyramid and the poverty lines are actually much higher than developed economies, you will see a lot of human progress, which means people will come out of poverty much faster in the emerging economies. And why do I say so? A lot of these technologies will also have a play in enablement of public infrastructure. Simple cases, you would have seen the Indian government itself invest very heavily in healthcare improvement across India, right? You have various healthcare programs like Ayushman Bharat, for example, where Dell Technologies is partnering with the government of India to provide a technology platform to provide remote healthcare to the population in a lot of tier three, tier four kind of areas. What this will do is the productivity of the population will go up, which means they get more time to upskill themselves. It's as simple as not having any health related downtime in a country like India, through better access to quality healthcare. So such platforms will become mainstream in a lot of economies, which means the population is in a better position to make use of education or other skill development programs to become more productive, right? So you will see a lot of productivity getting unlocked because of such initiatives. There are three more I wanted to talk about. The other aspect is, we spoke about the economy in the last slide. This slide is about how does it impact organizations from a workforce perspective. Very, very quickly, the first piece is, how do you make the process of hiring more inclusive and take biases out of the you know employee hiring process through the use of technology. So today, we are foreseeing that AI specifically will play a huge role in the hiring process, where a lot of the biases that creep into hiring good talent for your organization will get removed, because AI will look at the hiring by participating in the hiring process very, very in an augmented fashion, without taking control of it, providing the right inputs to make sure that the decision making is unbiased, meaning there is no uh, influence of race or the language in the hiring process. A lot of times the hiring process gets influenced by unstated biases which the interviewers or the pool of interviewers have. By bringing in technology, we believe that the process of getting good talent will actually get far better in the future. The second piece itself is, I think I briefly touched upon this, right? The whole aspect of collaboration between employees is going to improve significantly in the future, through augmented reality and virtual reality becoming a platform to collaborate. And Dell itself as a company is helping a lot of automotive companies across the world to use AR and VR to enable better collaboration between their digital or their design workforces. The last part is AI fluency. AI will actually, there is a lot of myth around AI, that AI is something which is too complex to understand. We are looking at a future where AI will be available as a tool. You don't need to understand what is the algorithm within the platform or the HPC cluster that is driving the artificial intelligence softwares. it is almost like, you ask a question and you get an answer, which means AI will augment human capacity and make us, or rather, it will free up a lot of our thinking to make decisions. It will make us better decision makers. That's a way to look at AI, because it is going to become commoditized and will become a tool, right? So, what we've done so far is, just to recap, the first 30 minutes, I spoke to you about where are we today and what are some of the trends we foresee in the future which will become mainstream, and how does it impact the larger economy, as well as how we go about doing our work and how will it make us better, right? So I just wanted to just pause for a second here and just think that, okay, what I'm trying, what the presenter here, that is me, is trying to tell you is, okay, the future has great potential, but is that journey going to be straightforward for all of us, right? And especially for small and medium organizations.
Vivek, I'd like to interrupt.
Sure.
There's a uh, top there's a box which is coming on the screen, which is cropped on the screen. You need to.
Oh, sorry.
It's blocking the presentation.
Is it a lot better now?
Yes, it's gone now. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Subhash, for pointing that out. So I just wanted to pause here and just ask a question right to the entire audience. See, um, while the future, it looks very promising, in order to make sure that we are all ready for what lies ahead, there is a lot of planning that is required, right? When I say why do we need to plan, the rest of the conversation today that we're going to have is around what is Dell Technologies' understanding of the entire landscape of companies that are operating in this digital world today. We have come up with something called a digital transformation index, which is nothing but a simple benchmarking exercise to say how ready do we think the world is to embrace change. And what you will see is a part of that study revealed that while the while there are opportunities, companies need to have a clear path and a strategy to go about transforming themselves from a technology perspective. So the rest of the conversation is around, therefore, what should you do, right? As you can see, a lot of these emerging technologies will drive exponential growth, right? And you must have, as leaders in your past decade or more, seen that whenever there is change, with change there is also the pain of managing that change. So it is important for you to now actually look almost 5 years outwards and say, in order for me to embrace this change, make sure technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, 5G, all of this, depending on my industry, how do I ensure that my business doesn't get disrupted? Right? What we have seen over the last 5 years is all barriers to entry that were traditionally considered, be it capital expenditure, be it know-how of the industry, or be it uh, policies, tariffs, all of them have been broken by some technology disruptor. You had Uber doing it in transportation. And you have a lot of those things playing out in different industries today. So the one big learning is companies need to anticipate that there is a risk of getting disrupted and make sure that they know how to make the right changes within their application layer, within the core infrastructure, within their workforce platforms. More importantly, look at the end-to-end security of your IT portfolio itself to ensure you have a very holistic approach, because the pace is going to quicken and you cannot lose time, right? So time is premium. So I briefly alluded to this in the previous slide, just to give you a picture of where companies are today around the digital adoption. So we call this a digital transformation index. We did a study in 2016 where we went to roughly 5,000 odd organizations, small and medium and large enterprises across 40 countries, including emerging markets, and surveyed their readiness. Right? And what you see here is, just to orient you to this slide, is how different companies fall in the life cycle of maturity. So across the 5, let's say, phases of maturity, the digital leaders being considered already ready to embrace change, whereas laggards, on the other hand, have a lot of work to do. Look at it that way. The percentages actually tell you what is the mix, or the number of companies as a percentage of the total that fall into each of those categories. And the two lines essentially show you the change between 2016, when the study was commissioned, to 2 years hence in 2018, right? And we'll refresh this study this year as well. So what is clearly coming out is, right, the mix of leaders is very few. A big chunk of them are largely laggards or followers, or are in the process of evaluating how to go about this, which means they need some advice on how do we navigate this change, right? So that clearly points us to the next, or the last piece of today's conversation, which is around, so how do you go about this? What are some of the ways, or what is the framework to look at going about digital transformation? What can be the challenges, right? And what are the learnings there, right? So we'll spend some time on understanding what is a Dell point of view. Let me shift to the next slide here. It's just taking a couple of minutes to refresh. Just give me a sec. Okay. So at a very high level, right, we understood after surveying a lot of these companies that there are a lot of barriers to transformation. And we've listed 4 of them, which are very important to consider. The first thing is time is critical. I mentioned that. But why is time critical is something you need to understand. As I said, the pace of change is going to significantly increase. That really means that in a lot of mature industries, you should almost anticipate that there will be a threat of disruption coming from a new entrant who is more nimble, has largely a digital face already planned. Now, a lot of companies are able to do this, and I'm talking about startups, because they are starting off fresh. All their investments will be on the latest technology, and what we've seen in the marketplace today is companies are able to adopt agile methods of developing products and services through the right tools. For example, a lot of you would have heard of a company called Pivotal, which is part of the Dell portfolio, which is a platform. It is a platform as a service, but more importantly, the company offers services to end customers to learn how to adopt an agile way of developing products and services. So what I'm trying to tell you is you will have to reorient yourself to make changes to your application layer much faster than before. The mantra is fail, but fail fast, pick yourself up and move forward, right? The second very important part is skills. We all underestimate the impact talent is going to have when we look into the future. The workforce that is going to come into your organizations is going to have very different aspirations when it comes to making the choice of employment, which means you need to ensure that you understand what are their expectations from a technology. When I say technology, how your IT organizations serve them, what sort of devices you give them to enable workforce productivity, right? And the third aspect is, are they skilled enough? When I say, are they skilled enough, I'm not talking about the future workforce that is going to come in. Is your current workforce able to learn quickly? And what are the tools and processes you are enabling to make that change happen, to improve the skill levels of your current workforce? So how do you attract talent through the right choice of technology? How do you enable reskilling of the current workforce? It's very important. The third aspect, which is important, you already know this, is on IT specifically, there will always be a pressure to keep your IT expenditure fixed. Most IT budgets are either flat or coming down, but you need to find innovative ways to prioritize your grow the business versus your run the business budgets, and keep innovating, because the more you innovate, the bigger influence you have in business decisions, and all CIOs and IT leaders will appreciate that power. The last part is, I'm sorry, just my timer looks like, yeah, I need to speed up now. The last part is just the risk, is the fact that while you plan for the digital future, it is very important to have a good grip on the fact that there are a lot of aspects which will be out of your control. One specific, you know, part which I want to talk about in the next last few slides is you need to have a clear plan or a framework to think, okay, I need to have the following four parts or work streams covered as part of my digital journey, else I'm probably going to not have a very holistic approach. So the plan to transform yourself digitally is important, right? So these are the four barriers that you should keep in mind. Now, the last part, which I think kind of concludes, the last two pieces of the discussion, right? Therefore, when we talk about digital transformation, what is the way to think about it, right? So at Dell Technologies, we believe there are four key pillars to digital transformation itself. One is what we call as, I'll actually reverse this slide a bit so that it flows. There is application transformation, then IT transformation, workforce transformation, and security transformation. Application transformation, we spoke about it. You need to be nimble, which means the way you take your products and services in the digital world will be through some application or an app. So the way you create applications or your app development methodology has to be agile. So you need to think about how do you accelerate the pace of developing products and services. That's number one. That is largely what application transformation is all about. What are the tools to go about it? Do you have the right technology partner who can advise you on how to make that shift? That is application transformation. Number two, IT transformation. We spoke about this. Today, you have literally your IT spreading its wings, which means the underlying infrastructure cannot be purely a centralized or completely decentralized. You can almost think of having a core and then almost branches to the edge where you have a lot of processing sitting. This is the multi-cloud environment, which we all know today exists, but it is going to become more mainstream, right? So in the future, you have to almost think of application transformation. Underneath that, your entire IT infrastructure, be it server, storage, networking infrastructure, the way it is architected, the way it resides, has to be re-architected. I leave it at that, right? There are more nuances to it. The third piece, which is very important, my area of interest is don't forget your workforce. Your workforce is going to be a very key or one of the most important cog in the wheels, if you will, to get the whole picture right. The reason being, your workforce productivity at the end of the day will drive all that you do around IT. The workforce has to be motivated, has to be kept productive, and the choice of tools and technologies that you give to your workforce should attract the right talent and, more importantly, enable collaboration in a very seamless way. So there is a whole point of view on how do you think about workforce transformation, which is important. So application transformation, IT transformation, workforce transformation. And the last piece is security transformation. We all know that data is going to grow exponentially. It is your ability to drive the right insights out of data that is going to define whether you are going to be successful in the market. But data at the same time exposes you to a lot of risks. You need to avoid unpleasant security events within your company. More importantly, you have the liability legally as well as ethically to protect your customer and your own confidential information from the world, external world. So you need to have a very strong posturing or a strategy to secure your entire data and the IT infrastructure. So those four things are very important when you think about traversing the digital journey. Now, just for the audience, right? Tomorrow's conversation, which my colleague Praveen will walk you through, will focus more on workforce transformation. So you will get more insights on what is Dell's point of view on how to think about workforce transformation, what are the best practices, and what are some of the products and services that we are bringing to market to help you transform your workforce, right? So the framework is very simple. You need to have a holistic approach, think applications, IT transformation, workforce transformation, and security. Then you have a end-to-end and a 360-degree coverage of all the aspects for digital transformation. See, the last part, just to kind of set up tomorrow's conversation, as I said, is, I said workforce transformation is important, but and we also discussed that there is a war for talent. But it is also important to understand that within your organizations, the workforce is very heterogeneous. As you can see on this slide, right? You have some of your workforce which is always mobile. A part of your workforce is critical, but is largely desk centric. We call them knowledge workers. They may be either on-prem within your office or working remotely. And then there are some very specialized worker profiles within your company that work on either data intensive workloads at the endpoint or graphics intensive workloads. These are more the creative people, think marketing, think, senior people, or very critical people within your finance function. Now, you can't have a one size fits all to drive productivity of all these personas within your company. So when you think workforce, also think about segmenting your workforce and then saying, hey, for each of my workforce categories, am I enabling with the right technology? When I say technology, it includes the device, it includes the software on the device, it includes the collaboration tools, and very important, also the right choice of peripherals to augment productivity, right? And this is what I think Praveen will discuss more in detail tomorrow. But that is what we mean by workforce transformation. It is very important to think employee first when you think about digital transformation. Do what is right within your constraints to drive workforce productivity. More importantly, deliver day one productivity for new employees. Now, the last piece is therefore to say, how are we looking at workforce transformation from a product perspective? Uh, you know, at Dell Technologies, we looked at workforce transformation end to end. We said workforce transformation is not just a device specific, conversation. Workforce transformation involves looking at providing the right device, ensuring the device is secure. More importantly, you need to have a platform or a software that gives you the best endpoint management experience. What we mean by endpoint management is how do you manage the device lifecycle end to end in a cost optimized manner. And the last part is, are you having the right service levels from a support perspective to reduce downtime? So if you see, this slide essentially shows you what we call as Dell Unified Workspace, which is our portfolio in a nutshell, which covers industry leading devices, the best security, i.e., endpoint threat detection and remediation software, the world's leading unified endpoint management software from VMware, which is Workspace ONE, and Dell, Pro Support and Pro Support Plus, which are industry leading services that you can buy from us. So all of this comes under a single umbrella, and that is how we are posturing to the market to make sure that when you come to us, you get everything under the same umbrella, and it is a highly comprehensive endpoint solution to address your workforce transformation needs. So I'd like to end today's conversation here and do a quick summary or a recap. So we discussed the following, right? Today's world has, in the COVID environment, is in a bit of a flux. There are certain opportunities. There are nimble technology decisions required around work from home. How do you enable workforce productivity because their operating models have shifted? However, looking forward, there are larger technology-driven opportunities that organizations can leverage, but you need to have a proper plan to address that. And the plan is around looking at the application development process, looking at your IT infrastructure, looking at the workforce productivity and how do you transform the workforce. And the last part is security transformation. If you have, the bottom line is, if you have a clear way to go about it, and in your industry how do you leverage some of those opportunities which come from the themes we discussed, I think you will be able to succeed. With that, I would like to end today's conversation. It was a great opportunity to discuss, and I will pass it back to Subhash and team now for any questions you may have.
Yeah, thanks, Vivek. I mean, thanks for doing a comprehensive run through. There are certain questions to be answered now. I'll straight away go to the questions. So the first question is, from a forging unit in Maharashtra. Says, is IT transformation, application transformation similar in nature?
Okay. Okay. The way I heard the question is, are IT transformation and application transformation different, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So yeah, I think it's a good question, right? So the way we define application transformation is and IT transformation is they're interlinked, but there are clear boundaries between the two. So let me elaborate a little bit. So what we mean by application transformation is what is the process and the tools that you are using to develop applications, i.e., your products and services that you take to the market in a digital world, right? So think of a company like let's just take uh, sorry, that's a little bit of background noise. I hope I'm audible. Okay, great. So think of application transformation as let's say you're launching a new business. Companies like Uber or Amazon, for example, the face of the company to the end customer is largely an app, right? The app defines what is a product and service. Offline, there could be various players which will kind of make that service happen, but the face to the customer is the app. So your product and service is largely orchestrated through an application you develop. Now, application transformation is largely telling you how do you accelerate the pace of developing new applications and services that you bring to the market. For example, you've seen a lot of companies, take Swiggy, for example, they were largely in the business of food delivery, right? They were aggregating the inventory across restaurants and providing a service to end consumers. Now, today, they have branched off also into delivering grocery and various other things, but they were able to do it in a much shorter period of time. And the reason is their application transformation was much faster. They were able to add applications and bring them to market much faster. So application transformation is largely about how do you change the way of developing new products and services in the digital world. Now, IT transformation is a little different. Now, to make that application transformation happen, when you do an evaluation, you might see that okay, for this particular app, I probably need my app server to be distributed across 10 data centers as opposed to one data center that I have today in, let's say, Bombay. Whereas I need to think about one data center or a small, I don't know what, bespoke center in 5 geos in India. And that is how this particular product or an application will get served. Now, to do that, therefore, now I have to completely re-architect my data center, which means I'll have to spread out my servers, or I will have to put some storage boxes from decentralized the way they are deployed today, right? So that is what we mean by the IT transformation, which is how do I look at what is lying inside the data center, the hardware, and then re-architect to make the application transformation happen. And hence I said there is a boundary, but they are interlinked. Your application transformation will drive IT transformation.
Okay, thanks, Vivek. Another question that I have is, can Dell offer any solutions in OPEX model? We do not have bandwidth to spend now, but would like to rather spend and improve our technology as we get more business from clients.
Sure. So quick answer is yes. We do evaluate that on a case-by-case basis, especially for small and medium and mid-market customers. We offer flexible consumption models through either third-party providers in India or through our partner ecosystem, right? So if there are specific queries, I think we can have a more detailed conversation with the sales team and we can evaluate those.
Thanks. There's another question. We need to make more sense of it. What could be those indicators which I need consider while digitizing as an exporter?
Okay, what could be the indicators while digitizing? Okay, so I mean, I can take a stab at this, but probably will need
specific
more
solutions
details.
for being an exporter. I think that's what he does.
Right. See, I can draw a parallel to what we are seeing in some of the leading e-commerce platforms today, right? That are trying to kind of export. uh, I think one thing that you will need to, and the way I'm understanding your question is from an IT standpoint, what are some of the triggers that I need to look at to say, okay, I need to go digital in my export business. So a few things, right? So one is you need to be smart about that decision. Today, you already have platforms today in the market, and probably making some assumptions on what sort of industry you are in. uh, Companies like Amazon today have a platform to actually take you global. You can either offload your inventory to one of Amazon's retail arms, or directly list as a seller on the global Amazon.com platform and make that change happen faster. So the decision really will be, do I build it or do I partner, right? The answer in your specific case may be, in the short term, I partner while I build, or it could be vice versa, right? So that is the first decision according to me. But what I'm trying to tell you is, there are existing platforms to leverage. The second part is, once the decision is clear, you have to do it. Then I think you have to get into a more detailed assessment in terms of, like I said, first of all, where am I in the digital journey today? Do I have the basic infrastructure, the skills, and my tools, both within the data center and outside, which are already mature enough to go digital? When I say go digital, can they, are you already having a website? Is that website already enabled for direct to customer? So there is a more detailed evaluation to make the build decision, but there could be a more shorter term answer through a partnership, is the way I'm looking at it. But I mean, this is basis some assumptions I've made, but that would be my very quick answer. And obviously, I'm sure in your specific industry, you will have to obviously evaluate the operating conditions in your target market, all of that. I'm not even covering those. I'm just keeping this at a technology level at this moment.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Uh, Another question from Mr. Madhusudan. In your view, how can influencers and role models within an organization help with large-scale change through digital transformation?
Okay. You're saying, what is the role of influencers and key decision makers within your organization, right? To enable
Yeah,
digital
that's right.
transformation. Okay, that's a very interesting question. Okay, so I'm just going to reference back to the digital adoption curve, right? If you see, a lot of companies today are laggards in digital transformation, and I think your question is stemming from the fact that there is always resistance to change within organizations. And this is where there are two ways of doing it. One, you need to have the right leadership buy-in, and more importantly, those change agents who are key influencers within critical functions in your organizations. Classic cases could be, either if you're a sales driven entity, obviously you need this senior leadership within sales, driving that as an agenda, right? That is more top down. The other piece is, we also understood that the workforce that is coming into your organization today is very different from what you currently have. So I'm anticipating that in the next 5 years, the mix of workforce in most organizations will be a lot of the what we call them as Gen Zs, which is people born after the year 2000, who would have come into the workforce, and a mix of the millennials, who are the people from the previous generation. The what we have seen from our workforce studies is, the new workforce that is coming in is already a, you know what should I say, champion for your digital initiatives. They have been born in the digital world. They are used to using smartphones, apps, and all the technologies we spoke about. So to some extent, there is going to be a very positive, what should I say, collaboration within your workforce, where a lot of the change will be driven top down through the right choice of influencers, depending on as I said, some of the key functions, as well as having programs to motivate the new workforce to drive that change with the larger organization. And that we are already seeing in companies like Dell. Today, the workforce that is coming in already is expecting a lot of change from IT, which we are having to enable. So they will themselves be a change agent within a lot of organizations.
Yeah.
I hope I answered your question.
Yes. There are a series of questions from Ms. Rashmi Ranjan. She has a metal manufacturing unit.
Okay.
So I'll read out the questions. What are the support you are providing to manufacturing units? Is Dell working on IT OT related job? And during the IT OT implementation, people are facing a lot of issues.
I see. Okay. Could she explain what is IT OT? What does it stand for?
I think OT is operational technology.
Okay.
As I understand it.
Okay. So
I'll ask her to clarify further.
Sure. All right. So let me take the first piece, right? Which is around how are we supporting manufacturing units, right? I think this is more stemming from the current scenario. So as a company, we have obviously been very empathetic to what our end customers are facing, right? We are largely a customer first company because we kind of pioneered the direct to the customer model, in the 80s when the company was formed. So given that history, we were very quick and spontaneous to respond to the challenges which a lot of the MSMEs and the manufacturing units faced. So the first thing we did is through our extensive channel network, we have obviously relaxed our payment terms to enable better cash flows with our end customers. So to ensure that the channel is also passing those benefits back to their end customers, because a lot of the MSMEs today are buying not directly from Dell. A lot of them do, but a significant number of them also buy through our channel partners. So we have made some revisions to obviously our payment terms to enable better cash flow, right? To ensure that you can have business continuity. The other aspect is to then think it is not just solving your current immediate pain points, but how do we enable change within your organization? So from a marketing standpoint, there are various other partnerships that we enable for companies. Either it is through a platform or it's on a one-on-one basis if the organization is large enough. What I mean by that is how do we bring thought leadership, give advice to manufacturing companies on overcoming some of their IT related challenges. And in this particular case, I don't know whether you have a sales account manager aligned. We would be in a better position to address company specific queries if we get more details. But what I'm trying to tell you is our support to manufacturing units is across pure commercial terms, also across how do we do joint business development, marketing activities, so on and so forth. But if there are specific issues, I think we can even take that on a case by case basis in this case and see. The other aspect from a product standpoint, what we've done, and probably Subhash, you are aware, is for CII members, we've recently also launched some promotional offers across the entire portfolio to enable, as I said, flexible consumption, offer attractive schemes, etc., to make sure that they have access to technology.
Yeah, that's right. So from a strategic point of view, just wanted to ask a question. So have you seen an uptrend towards technology adoption in your SMB business? And do you think it's going to grow at a certain pace?
Okay, so I think the quick answer, if you, and I'll reference overall, the market data itself, right? And I largely cover the commercial PC business. But if you have kind of followed what Gartner and, for example, IDC have kind of provided from a outside in market commentary perspective, the immediate short-term impact of the current COVID environment has been more pronounced on the SMB market, specifically in India. So across the board, the SMB market has kind of reduced its technology consumption. The reason, as I said, is they have bigger pressing issues to solve, which is to maintain business continuity. But it is also a fact that the industry and even some of the leading analysts, and we also firmly believe that this cannot be permanent, right? So it is just a short-term speed bump. With the government and a lot of the industry bodies, launching programs to improve liquidity and credit, easing of credit across the market, I'm sure that the SMB business will start rebounding, and we are already seeing some green shoots over the last few weeks where the business we used to do 8 weeks ago, if I compare that versus what I'm doing the last few weeks, I already see some positive movement upward, right? So there are positive signs. My quick answer would be there was a short-term impact, but I'm starting to see some recovery. It will not be across all sectors, but some of the core sectors we should start seeing. For example, I'm hearing that in the second half, some of the pent-up demand in auto should come in. If that demand kind of it's more a spillover, but if that kind of becomes or rather it comes in the second half, the later half of the year, auto ancillaries, all of them should start seeing a downstream pickup in revenues.
Thank you, Vivek. I think that's about it. I think there would be some more questions, which we would definitely pass it on to the Dell team, and so that you may directly revert to them. On a closing note, let me on behalf of the participants, extend a big thank you for this very useful and knowledgeable session. I'm sure along with the session tomorrow, which starts at 3 in the afternoon, our members would be in a better position to kind of in their decision making ability with regards to adoption of technology. I'm sure they'll be better ready to look at that, and I would request all the participants to be there tomorrow again between 3 to 4, which the session talks about taking full control of your digital future. Thank you very much from our side, and we look forward to your participation tomorrow again. Any questions you may write into us, or you can log into our CII Tech Saksham portal. You can post your technology requirements through this online portal, and we'll come back to you with various solutions that are there on offer. Thank you very much. Thank you, Vivek. Thank you, entire Dell team.
Thank you, the Subhash and the entire CII team. Was a pleasure speaking to all of you, and do tune in for tomorrow's follow-up session on workforce transformation. Best of luck.
Thank you.